Hey guys, it's Catherine Coley, CEO of Binance US, and I'm here again with another episode of The Financial Fitness. Today I've got something really exciting. Spencer Dinwiddie here. I had the pleasure of meeting him back in New York earlier this year. Was it this year? That seems crazy. Maybe last year.
Oh, yeah, nah, last year,
Maybe last year.
2019.
It was
Yep,
good. Times were good. Things were great. You were actually still playing
yep,
basketball. So we've got a little bit of a different arena here, but I really wanted to get to know you a little bit more, get to know a little bit about what makes you tick. How do you think about your finances as well as your own fitness, especially during this lockdown, and how we can do more to bring in
for
other
sure.
communities to welcome into the world of digital assets.
Definitely.
Pretty excited. Let's get started. Tell me a little bit about who you were when you were 10 years old.
Oh, yeah, you are jumping right into it. 10 years old,
Did you know anything about money? Did you know anything about basketball?
basketball, yes. So I've been playing basketball since about like 3 or 4 years old. But when I was 10, I was still very small and kind of unathletic. So definitely a passion. I was actually like just really, really good in school at that time. So didn't know anything about money because that's not necessarily what they teach you in school. But the things that they did teach, English, basic arithmetic, things like that. Um, not 10 is probably too early for like some pre-algebra stuff, but whatever they had me doing at the time, I was pretty much like a straight A student. So
That's awesome.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
What about at what part in your either education or beyond did you start connecting the dots between money and investing? Because I know that you've got a
Yeah.
little bit of an early start on that.
Yeah. I would say probably early high school, when you really start to kind of think about like what's next for you in life. You just kind of start to spitball at your dreams and things like that. My dad's a real estate agent or was a real estate agent, and so kind of a serial entrepreneur, being in that type of profession. And so, with that being said, you kind of start just picking the brain of the people closest to you. And my dad is a perfect example and one of my role models. So that's why I was fortunate enough to get a pretty good head start.
My dad's in real estate too. Must be something about
See,
that.
there you go, there you go.
He's got to build up from the ground every time. So I think there
Yep.
must be something about that. But and then kind of walk us through a little bit more about what really clicked when you were learning about it that made you say, I think I got to dig more into this. This isn't going to come easy. And like what parts about finance and investing did you have to kind of proactively educate yourself versus maybe your peers were you're kind of trying to either help them out or help yourself out?
Um, I would say it's just like any other, system of education, right? Like
Mhm.
when you're learning a new language, right? Like you got to kind of dive into it. And you got to dive into, the smallest foundational pieces of that language, and then scale up and get better and learn more about the nuances after you have a solid foundation. I think investing in the world of finance uh, is just a completely different language, and that's why people, number one, don't understand it and kind of shy away from it because all the things that we're taught in school, for the most part, aren't that applicable. Um, so even like the history that we're taught, it's not the history of finance. It's typically like a broad view of world history and like some wars and things like that about like who fought who and conquered who. It doesn't tap into like maybe why they did it. Maybe they wanted land. Maybe they needed the resources to have further conquest. Maybe they wanted gold or oil or diamonds or whatever it is, and why that was beneficial during that time period. They don't break down economics, whether it be micro or macro. So it's a completely different language, and you have to kind of approach it as such. You can't approach it as I just want money, so let me go make money. It's not that simple.
Yeah, there are a lot of drivers towards why we do things, and I don't think we do a
Yeah,
good enough job of explaining why we do things.
exactly.
It's interesting when I kind of think about why I thought I needed money or why I wanted to have careers that would pay me better. It actually came down to the fact that I knew that like therapy bills are expensive. And I was like, no one's going to pay for this, but I want to pay for it because I respect my brain.
For sure.
So, they're different drivers. Also, like courtside seats at basketball games don't come for free.
That
So if I
is
can't
very
play
true.
there, it's kind of a process there.
That's very
Uh,
true.
what Did you have any jobs in high school or college that were like kind of where your first paycheck came from?
No, not really. Not
Nice.
really. I would like to say my first job was pretty much being a student athlete at Colorado.
Hmm.
I used to do like all the different like chores and odd jobs for my parents and hey, I need you to do this and do that. And you pick up a little bit of money enough to maybe buy an Xbox or something. But it wasn't anything where I was working at, a Ralph's or a HEB or like really, bussing tables at a restaurant or something like that.
So that means you're kind of like your first paycheck was a big one.
Yeah, technically speaking, it was for sure. I would like to say though, like with kind of the NBA, the way it works, you're kind of doing like a 20-year long internship. You're working extremely, extremely hard and dedicating all this time and focus, hoping that it pays off and you get the, big time job. And some people aren't ever blessed to do that. So, they end up kind of literally just doing the internship.
What do you think some lessons so far in the internship?
So far, oh, I would say the biggest lessons you learn along the road of basketball is probably like resiliency and just like work ethic. If you're going to get to this level, you had to work hard. Even the most supremely talented people are very dedicated. And, it's definitely not all going to be smooth. Nobody wins every game. Like, I don't care who you are. Michael Jordan, used to get beat by the Pistons. And obviously, LeBron doesn't have a perfect finals record and all that stuff. So you have to be very resilient to be in this profession.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know if it's resilience or stubbornness, but my dad got two daughters instead of 10 boys. So he couldn't have the 5-on-5 game he really wanted.
Gotcha. I'm sorry.
But no, but with it, I got a textbook of all the life skills that basketball teaches you. And
There
there's
you
so
go.
much more beyond it. I mean, it's the discipline that you've got to have, the focus, the accuracy.
Oh yeah.
He used to throw bounce passes to me and like, catching them's a little bit hard. He's like, this is why accuracy matters, because if you throw a bounce pass, you could hit the car, and then you got to pay for the car done. So you're like, all right, I was
Yeah, that's
we had a tiny little basketball hoop growing up right behind by like the little garage, and he would go behind the shrubs almost in the neighbor's yard to hit a 3-point shot and be like, still got it, still got it.
yeah.
I mean,
That's classic dad
yeah,
move.
classic dad move, but kept the spirit of the game in all that he does and all that we kind of
Yeah,
work on. I certainly thought I watched The Last Dance. I hope you did too.
yeah, for sure.
And it just brought to light a lot of things that I think that while we're discovering the new world of crypto, like just the components of understanding how a team works together, how a
Yep.
society works together, how can we help and bring the best out of other people,
Yeah,
and give them the opportunities to succeed.
yeah,
So a lot of that comes into how we think about increasing the financial awareness, the crypto literacy.
definitely.
You got into the crypto scene on your own, much like you got into the financial scene on your own.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a better way we could be bringing others with us, or helping champion more folks into the understanding of it? Because it's a little tricky.
To me, yes. I'll say my complicated answer before I say my simple answer. Um, to me, the education system needs to do a better job of teaching people applicable skills. Like, quite honestly, that's I think the biggest thing for me. When I was in high school, I was really proficient at math. I ended up finishing like trigonometry and calculus like my sophomore year, or right, like second semester my sophomore year or something like that. So really good at it, right? But I haven't used any of that stuff since I was 16 years old. It has done nothing for me, like besides me feeling really accomplished at 16, saying, "Hey, I could do a class with seniors and all that stuff." But like, it was, yeah, it's a one big high five. But we don't actually teach kids, you know, how taxes work. Just on a fundamental level, we don't, teach kids about the different type of asset classes, like things like that. I didn't even know that until I was really kind of going into the league. Like I started to get well versed in real estate, kind of learned kind of sound money principles and things like that. But really dividing like commodities and then like real estate, now digital assets. You have the traditional stocks and equities and things like that. Like people don't know these things. And if I wasn't in the NBA and didn't have disposable income, that I needed to invest, I probably still wouldn't know these things. I'd be in a situation where if I'm living check to check and I'm only putting $1,000 in my savings, then I'm probably only putting that in cash. I'm not thinking about, oh, I'm gonna put this $1,000 in, Apple stock. I can't afford to do that because what if I have an emergency medical bill? I have to then pull it out of Apple stock. So it's really tough to push financial literacy when the foundation isn't sound. It's like trying to, uh, build your house on sand in a sense. I don't know any other way
No,
to
that's it.
kind of
Yeah.
put it. Yeah, like that would be my main thing I would do. But other than that, I think one thing the digital asset space is doing really well, and now you're seeing things like Robinhood and all those types of platforms and Acorns and things. They're just showing how you can start saving and start investing with small amounts of money. They're kind of trying to gamify the process to really entice users. And obviously there's a double-edged sword if you start to get into like leverage and margin trading and things like that when before people are ready. But you're gonna have to kind of make it enticing and appealing and almost gamify the process in a sense and make it available to the masses to bring them in.
Yeah. We kind of, we realized it's really hard to make something enticing if it doesn't look or act or
Yeah,
represent you. And so a lot of parts about Binance US, just bringing in different voices and folks into our team that can share where their neighborhoods would want to become like more active in it, or where their
definitely.
backgrounds led them to be more enticed by it. We've got guys on our team from Robinhood, Western Union,
There you go.
Bitflyer, big four accounting firms, and then you've got folks that are just bucking the trend and have been mining Bitcoin and loving life
Yeah.
in Maine and Colorado. And
For sure.
they bring together such a spirit that you go, this does represent, anyone can be involved in crypto. You
Yep.
really, I mean, it comes down to needing internet access, which I still
Yeah.
think there's some components that we haven't thought through to get literally every single person involved in digital assets.
Yeah.
Um, Funny enough, we were noticing the new voice Twitter ability that you can do. Someone from the
I didn't
deaf.
even know.
Oh yeah, you can record tweets now. You're like, what?
Yeah, I'm blown away. I gotta try it now.
Yeah. But someone from the deaf community reached out to me and they're like, you know what, you just made yourself, I'm not able to hear what you said. And I was like, all right, here's the transcript. I'm so sorry that you can't hear, what we're able to share, because that's
Yeah,
just one more thing that makes people feel left out.
for
And
sure.
I mean, I hate to say it, but if you were a smart kid and you were 10 years old, you're probably left out of a lot of things. Unless you were Mr. Popular and then you got it all. And I
Yeah,
cancel this
no, no,
interview.
no. I was not popular until probably my junior or so year of high school.
That's a good time to blossom. I'm still waiting for my peak. So what about, I mean, you brought up something that I think is kind of interesting, where if we don't exercise certain muscles, they atrophy. So,
Yeah,
your trigonometry skills were gain season when you're 16
yeah,
years old. Uh, and now, you no longer have that muscle. What about your own finance? I mean, your own fitness right now? Are you being able to still practice, still take, steps to better your career in this lockdown?
oh, for sure, for sure. Not to the same steps that I usually do. Typically my off-season regimen is pretty
Pretty
intense.
steep,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it's pretty intense. But because it was limbo, because of quarantine and things being locked down, I wasn't able to do all that I typically do, or
Mhm.
that was probably a poor choice of words, but you know,
Man.
yeah, I typically do. But I was able to stay in relative shape, and I'm happy with where I'm at right now, going back into the season. Uh, I will say though that when some muscles do atrophy and you start to stretch other muscles, I think I've spent more time on Zoom calls and exploring the financial world even more in depth than I have at any point in time in my life. And so that's been actually a lot of fun for me. I've had a ton of fun, being able to chop it up and talk to people such as yourself and keep gaining knowledge.
Yeah, there comes to a point of the activities you can do in your house without leaving it, and one of
Yeah.
them's like, look at your budget. And I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to pull up that Excel
Yeah.
spreadsheet. And
Yeah,
you got to,
nah,
I was like, all right, well, that's the only thing we can do today. It really helps us internalize, take a good look at what we're spending, what we're, maybe what was going to the wayside. Do I really need Hulu when I've got Netflix? You're
Yep.
going through all those debates on the little stuff, and then you're looking at the bigger stuff and saying, okay, if I want to be allocating capital, what are the markets looking like? What's going to be, the best place for me to place my assets when you've got things like trillions of dollars getting pumped into, bonds.
Woo-wee.
Yeah,
Hey, listen. We're what, $26 trillion in debt now?
something
Happening quick.
happening quick. That's I think I have a hard job. They got a much harder job.
Oh yeah,
It's something. So the best thing we can do is take control of your own life,
for sure.
and be kind of in control in response to that.
Yeah,
But as well, something that I think is important is making sure those around you are also fit, making sure everyone is taking care of themselves, being the healthiest they can be, and that includes your financial awareness. That
definitely.
includes being responsibly aware of what's happening in the future of digital assets.
Yep.
It's one of those things. I don't care if you're involved in it right now, but I don't want you to, 5 months down the road, 5 years down the road, play ignorant.
Yeah,
Because we're here, we're happy to help.
for
Um,
sure.
so wait, backing up to your routine during the lockdown. How do you do a 3-man weave when you're only by yourself?
Nah, nah. You find a really sturdy brick wall and you practice your
Just-
passing against that.
yeah, that works. I mean, from a team sport perspective, you guys breaking up, are the Nets, are you guys on Zoom calls every night, talking to each other, making sure you're still talking trash to Theo?
Um, you remember?
Theo, I love you. Go Heels.
Theo knows what time it is. I'm about to be back in New York soon, so it's gonna get real dicey for him.
All right, all right.
But nah, we have each other's numbers. We text each other often, keep up with each other, and that's kind of what we've been having to do pretty much. I know a lot of guys stayed in New York. Some guys kind of got out of Dodge a little bit and spent time with their families, and so it was kind of everybody's kind of doing their own thing.
Yeah. We kind of said be your best self. If you don't want to
Yeah,
be where you're stuck right now, get out.
yeah,
If you need fresh air and sunshine, go somewhere else. So it's you kind of got to take care of yourself where you can.
for sure.
What about the season starting again? Are you worried about? Are you going to be leaving behind your kind of financial regimen of daily looking at the markets?
Nah, I mean, I think the way it's gonna work with the bubble in Orlando, we're actually gonna have a lot of time on our hands, kind of just in the hotel room. So
Mhm.
I envision myself probably doing a lot of different financial things. So I don't think my quarantine regimen will change too much. It'll just instead of having a 2 hour solo workout, I'll have 2 hours
France.
worth of team stuff. Yeah,
That'll be
yeah.
feel
So
good.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it'll be interesting. It'll be an interesting time.
Do you think you're going to do some Dinwiddie digital asset teach-ins while you're down there in Florida? Set up a little conference room
Ooh.
down in Disney?
Hey, look, if any NBA player wants to talk about digital assets, I'm game. I can talk about this stuff all day. So, hit me up if. But I don't force it on anybody, because I know some people think I'm weird and all that stuff. So, it
Hey,
is what
if
it
they think
is.
you're weird, they think you're crazy, you're onto something. That's what I believe.
Thank you, thank you.
Well, I think you'll have a few hands raised in that crew down there in Disney to say I want to learn more,
It'll be
um,
fun.
and we're happy to provide more information on how folks can learn more. This series itself is one that we really hope to continue to build. We had a great time with Christy Rampone on our first episode, 3-time soccer
Yeah,
Olympic gold medalist, and has been investing since she got her first paycheck. So it's really just cool to kind of put in perspective folks. A lot of people idolize basketball players. I myself certainly do and did my whole life. So it's good to know that they're staying on top of just the best that you can do for yourself, your
yeah.
finances, be aware of the world, be a part of the world. Um, and anything else you want to add or drop in we haven't discussed about yet? You can ask
Uh,
me about my 10-year-old self, but I looks kind of like a gremlin.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that. Nah, I mean, I was gonna say shout out Binance
Yeah.
US, all that good stuff.
We like that. Yeah, we just set up our recurring buys, so now you can set it and forget it when you're about to go to play a game. You don't have to worry that you're not, picking and stacking stacks where you need to.
That's cool.
So yeah, you can set up recurring buys for weekly, monthly. Every time you're like, this is going to be distracting from my game. I'm just going to dollar cost average into these positions. We've got that set up for you
Okay.
now.
Look at that.
Yeah. And anything else in the digital asset world that, I think we can make better, easier, accessible for really all folks, from the 10-year-old version of yourself to the junior in high school to yourself. There's a process in that education cycle that we need to break and welcome more in, and really, here to educate, not intimidate is always our
Yeah.
motto.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of my favorite, or one of my other favorite parts about the digital asset space is the commitment to building and improving, and you know staying on top of things like that. I think a lot of the legacy systems are kind of like, hey, look, we're here, we're gonna do our thing, y'all adjust to it. It is what it is, and so it does intimidate a 10-year old and all the other stuff. So you know, I don't have anything specifically right now. It'd probably be something I have to brainstorm about, but just that commitment to building in general will more than likely than not uh, touch the 10-year old and reach the 95-year old who decides that they want to do something fun with their money that they're going to give to their grandkid or whatever. So I'm excited.
Yeah, William Shatner, who's 89, is still involved in digital assets. So
See, there
it's
you go.
yeah, exactly. I was like, man, I gotta get my grandmother back up on it. She's good with texting and Zoom, but
Oh, you're ahead of the game. You're
yeah,
ahead of
she
the
is. She
game.
is. I keep her sharp. Why would I let her decay?
There you
She's
go.
involved. Um,
Perfect.
well, great. Well, July 31st is when we see you guys back on the courts.
Yep, I believe so.
All
I believe
right.
so.
We're cheering for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll have my giant, my back of my shirt says Bitcoin, but it's the 21 was for 21 million Bitcoin originally created. So
Okay.
that's that number, but we'll keep cheering you guys on. It's great to see you continue to develop in both your financial sense and understanding and your basketball.
Thank you
It's
for
just
having me.
getting started. It's just the beginning.
Exactly.
Awesome.